Hey, welcome, y'all. welcome. My bad.
Hey.
Y'all on a little curveball right there. But thank you guys for showing up. It's episode 19 of the KerlinAugustin podcast.
Let's get it.
You know, as per usual, it's me, Kerlin, here. I told you guys my name is Sammy. My bad. My first name is Kerlin. Middle name is Samy. We got Xavier here. And we got the lovely Anthony Davis and Errin Davis from the Davis system.
Let's go.
I told you guys that we had Anthony Davis coming. Y'all didn't believe me. I told you it was Anthony Davis Jr.
Live and in the flesh. Here you go. This is what you get. This is what you get.
Come on, man. I always deliver. Always deliver on my promises, okay? But
we're going to disappoint a lot of people potentially with the title, but that's all right. That's all right. It's going to be cool.
But how you guys doing? How's your day going?
Good. It's Sunday, woke up, watched church this morning, and it's been out and about since. Yeah, it's good. Okay. Yeah,
good sermon. Yeah.
Yeah, you guys are from the Boston area, right?
I am. I'm from Dorchester, Fields Corner specifically. But Anthony,
I grew up in Prince George's County, Maryland, right outside of Washington D.C. Actually.
No shit. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yep. So, been in Boston since 2018 now, and married a Boston girl, so I guess it's somewhat home now, to an extent.
Better say the right thing, bro.
Yeah, it's all right. The city's growing on me. Yeah.
Nice.
but I'm also, I gotta bring in my Caribbean culture too. I'm Trinidadian as well, so he partly Trini too. He got that one too.
Where are you planning on moving back, or are you guys gonna stay here in Boston?
This has been a conversation.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it is.
Come on, got all the chips here. Football,
I can't say anything. I was gonna let her answer.
We're gonna be here for a little bit, but I think we might end up being down the DM, not the V, the DM for a little bit too. Who knows? See how things play out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, so what made you want to come down to Boston? Was it an interest, school,
work actually?
It was work. Okay.
Yeah. So I know we're gonna get into this, but we both are in the political arena. And in 2018, I had an opportunity to actually come up and work on a political campaign. Congresswoman Ayanna Presley's first campaign, running for Congress. And through a few friends who were also helping out in the campaign, came up and worked on the campaign for 3 months. And then I went back home actually for an extended period of time. And I was like, when I left, I was like, I'm never going back to that city. For those 3 months, I went to work and I went home and I was just like, I was trying to find culture, trying to find a vibe, trying to figure out where to kick it at. And it was just like, it wasn't. I mean, comparatively to I grew up in DC, I went to college in Atlanta. So it was just nightlife in both of those spaces is jumping. So it's I was here in Boston, it wasn't comparative. And so I was like, all right, I went to work, I went home. And then once I went back, I was like, I'm never coming back to Boston. And a couple months later, fast forward, I ended up back here in 2019 and kind of been here since.
Gotcha. Nice. Cool.
Hey, good thing you came back, man. You wouldn't have met your wife?
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
we met in DC actually.
Okay.
The 3 months he was spending here in Boston, I was spending 3 months in DC working on the Hill, and then came back and we literally just switched paths. Yeah. And then actually months into us dating, then we switched again. I was in DC and he was back in Boston.
That's crazy.
We did that for back and forth for a while.
Yep.
Yo, universe crazy.
It's meant to be kind of.
Yeah. What the hell?
I'm so we gotta tell the story now.
Yeah.
Basically.
Eventually they'll cross paths. I just got to keep throwing them this way. Tell me.
All right, you can start.
Well, okay, so I have been in politics since I was about 14 here in Boston. Have been a teen leader and stuff like that.
Nice.
And so I have wanting to run for office, wanting to be mayor of Boston. It was a really long time goal of mine. Used to be, let me just put an emphasis on that.
Okay.
Used to be goal of mine. And so this was Congresswoman Ayanna Presley's congressional race. I had just came back from doing 3 months in DC working for the Caucus on Black Women and Girls. And I told my mother we have to go knock doors for AP. I was I missed the whole camp. Well, I call her AP because I've known her since high school. Okay. Interned for her.
Yeah,
when
no
she
big
was
deal.
on.
Just a little flex on her.
Interned for her when I was on city council. So I was we have to go help AP. I've been gone all summer. You're coming with me because you need to learn how to door knock too for when I run for office anyway. And so we get to this house in Ashmont. Didn't know anyone came up oh, I'm here to door knock. And I was talking to just some random white woman who was like giving us like the pamphlets and stuff. And then out of nowhere, this black guy comes around the corner and he's like, I can help you. I'm like, we would have been helped. But like, okay. And then he's going back and forth. He's talking. We start to walk out the driveway now that we have our stuff and my mother ready to go. And my mother goes, I think it's important to note that my mom's nickname is Foxy Roxy. So me and my mom real close. So she real spicy with it. She's like, that boy is looking at you, Errin. I was like, I don't care. And she says, like, I started going like this. Like walking out the place to make sure that he was like looking at me. And lo and behold, that boy was Anthony.
Yep. So months later,
what's your side?
Sound all right from your perspective. What happened?
I mean,
I wasn't even looking at her like that, though, man. I was looking at the architect of the building.
No, that's pretty accurate. Depiction of what happened. It was like, again, 3 months in the city, and I was just like, yo, like, I have no motion here. There's no women that I'm interested in. It's just like. And I was like, yo, I didn't know Boston made black girls like that when I seen her. But like, we didn't get to like connect or anything like that until like 3 months later. We as she said, we were both in DC. She had already been working for Congresswoman Presley on the Hill in DC, in Capitol Hill. And then
now I feel like I have to tell it. Because we were in a team meeting and they were like, this guy who worked on the campaign, he's going to come and be working with us for a little bit until he goes work for Warren for president. And Errin, you're going to be the one to like onboard him and work with him. He went to Morehouse. He's a Kappa. I was like, I'll onboard him. And he came in and when we seen each other, I was like, you look familiar. And he's like, you look familiar too. And it wasn't until like, now you can take it over. Now you can
So a couple days into like working in the office, I remember just being at my desk one day, and it just hit me, and then I like ran out of where my desk was out into her desk area, and I was just like, yo, you came and knocked doors at this house in Ashmont back on the campaign, didn't you? And she was like, yeah. And I was like,
that's when it clicked.
That's crazy. That's where I remember you.
And then I ran to the bathroom and called my mom and was like, Mama, you're not going to believe that boy on the driveway.
You were right.
Yeah.
Yo, the fact that he remembered that, you know he was checking for you.
Yeah. So, the rest is history, as they say.
Well, the rest is the congresswoman told me that I needed to take my coworker out on a date, and that was going to be my husband.
She was my Cupid. She was my Cupid.
Yeah. She was like, that's going to be your husband, and treat him right, and y'all going to be good. And she wasn't lying.
There was no fucking it was really just like throwing y'all up there for this. Like that's
it was fate.
Yeah, pretty much. Like it was like everything aligned, and it was just like even when we didn't take advantage of that first time actually running into each other, it was like, yo, y'all can get another opportunity. And then the congresswoman is going to be the one, because she didn't say this part, but she was also like, she was definitely trying to play me. Like, she was not trying to give me no energy. She was like, we're coworkers. Like, we work together.
It was my first job out of college. Like, what am I supposed to date the first? I'm like, this is crazy. I can't do it.
You're like, this is too soon.
It's too soon.
I was a temporary coworker. I was there. Everybody already knew. I was coming in to work there for like 2-3 months. Just to like hold over to another job. So I was like, yo, like, that doesn't matter. I'm not going to be here for a long time. But
so why am I going to talk to a guy who's moving back to my city anyway?
That's also valid, actually.
That's a good
point. The congresswoman wouldn't let it up. She was like, no, you need to start dating.
That's crazy.
And I did. And it was worth it.
Yep.
Yes.
That's a beautiful story, bro.
That's crazy. How did you guys like initially want to get into politics though? Because both of you guys separately did it.
Well, she was first, so
so my father is in the Carpenters Union. He's been in the Carpenters Union for like over 35 years. So I remember as a little girl going with my dad to like picket outside for like different like union endorsed candidates and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I would say that was my like first really like remembrance of like being politically involved. But I grew up on the Bowdoin Geneva corridor, and there was like I went to St. Peter's School, so there was the teen center there.
Nice.
There was always something in my community that was going on that I was like involved in to just like be a part of. And so because of that, I had like at the age of 16, I organized I lived on Holiday Street at the time. So I organized like Holiday Street's first festival at 16, getting like all my neighbors and local businesses to sponsor it. And that's really like where like community organizing took off for me.
Nice.
And so from there, ended up getting an internship. I literally said to my mom, I was like, whatever political person supports Boston Carnival, because my family helped start Boston Carnival and they have a band within Carnival. And that's what I usually spent my summers doing. I was like, whatever politician supports Carnival, that's who I'm going to go work for. And I ended up interviewing for then city councilwoman Ayanna Pressley. And at the time, everyone would be like, that's your mother? That's your daughter? I'm like, nope, I'm like, I'm her intern. And she really like took me under her wing, and I said to myself, like, all due respect to her, but I'm like, she's not from the city. She's from Chicago. I was like, I am born and raised here. I know this city like the back of my hand. If she can be a transplant and give so much to the city, I can do the same because I'm from this city.
Yeah.
And that's when I made my goal in high school to become the youngest and first Black mayor of Boston. But throughout that time, I had worked for other elected officials at different levels of government, private sector, things of that nature. And I realized that working as the candidate isn't for me, but I love being behind the scenes. Now I finally found my space. I won't say I won't ever run, but Mayor of Boston, Michelle Wu got that. She got that.
You kind of saw what that looks like, and you were like, I'm good here.
Yeah,
I'm good here. Okay.
And for me, I would say like I took a different path to politics. Like I didn't grow up in a household that was very political. Like I said, I grew up in Prince George's County, Maryland, we had a lot of proximity to DC. So you would think like people who live in DC or near DC, like they have to be involved with politics or they care about it at least. But I would say like growing up, and a lot of people probably from the DMV would agree that like a lot of times your proximity to the federal government actually makes you more apolitical because you have to deal with a lot of the kind of the results of the federal government being in DC. So you have to deal with increased traffic. You have to deal with gentrification because you have staffers coming in. You have to deal with unnecessary blockade sometimes because the president is just driving down the street and now I can't get to my house on time that I would like to get there just because the president is not going down the street. I just live in the city. And I may not care about politics. I don't care where the president is going today, or I need to go get my child. Now I'm late for picking up my child from childcare. So it kind of inconveniences life for people in the area. And so to an extent, you move away from politics. And so for me, like my family, I didn't see it. Like my parents, they went and voted. Probably like the first time I can vividly remember was like for President Obama's election, which was in 2008. But like they were. Well, I was 14 at that point, so for 14 years of my life, I didn't necessarily remember seeing my parents going to vote or getting involved. And so once I went to college, and also, growing up in Prince George's County, I think another thing that's important to mention is that it's one of the most affluent Black or majority Black counties in the country. And so what that means is not only did I see Black people who were prospering in terms of financially, but then in terms of leadership, you had, Black elected officials, you had Black police chiefs, a lot of the police officers, even in the area, were Black. And so even the interactions with police force and growing up in that area, it wasn't necessarily as deadly, or it wasn't necessarily, it wasn't something that we were growing up. It was something that we were worried about running into the police. It was just like, you deal with it, you give them your license, you go back. And it's just like, growing up in PG County, we just didn't have the same reality that I think a lot of the country was dealing with, especially at the time. And so
literally just the opposite side of the spectrum.
Yeah, it's just complete opposite. It's just like I like to say it was like an oasis. It was just like this Black oasis where it's just like Black people are running stuff and Black people are in leadership, and so Black people are safe as a result. And so I went to college in Atlanta, in Georgia, and that was totally different. Atlanta is a bubble in a very, I don't know what's the best way, in a red cloud, I would say. Like, so it's very like, Atlanta is a very progressive city. It's a very Black city, but as soon as you get outside of Atlanta, you're in Georgia. And you're in every bad thing that you've heard about Georgia, you're in those parts. Yeah. And so I think like my consciousness really awoken when I was there on campus, and I was just like, yo, like we aren't living in the same, like, we aren't living in this bubble that I grew up in. Like, this is actually what the rest of the world is like.
Mm-hmm.
This is reality for Black people in the rest of the world. And so I felt like that was what politicized me. And then my freshman year on campus was President Obama's, was the second election, was when he re-ran in 2012. And just seeing like so many people on campus, like volunteering for campaigns and volunteering to register people to vote, it was just like, what is this? Like, I feel like I need to be doing more. And so I started my own like community service organization, which wasn't necessarily like political, but it was more like, as Errin says, like community organizing.
Yeah.
Like, we were doing mentorship programs in elementary schools in Atlanta. We were doing cleanups in different parts of Atlanta. And so like I got more politicized just within the community organizing, being involved with schools, having to like talk to the school administration. And then after graduating, I was an English major in college. I wanted to go into journalism. I wanted to be a sports journalist. I wanted to do stuff like this, like host shows like this. But then I didn't have a job. Like, I graduated and I was jobless. And
The reality.
I'll deal with that. That shit hit, man. That shit hit like an uppercut, bro. Like, I went back home to Maryland and I was just like, damn, what am I about to do next? And it was like 2 months. And then I had a friend, he was working at the NAACP actually at the time. And he was just like, yo, come intern, come interview. We got this job. And I took that interview, and that interview led to me like being able to work with Black and brown, like young people around the country, training them on like how to organize in their communities and how to like advocate for issues. And from there, it was just like, I got this itch that was just like, all right, like, I feel like I can have impact doing this in a way that like, I don't know if I can see my impact in any like regular 9-to-5 job in the same way.
Yeah.
And so I was just kind of like, nah, I want to keep doing this. And it was like that. And then I started doing campaigns. And once I started doing political campaigns, I was like, I feel like it was a wrap from there, because I'm a really competitive person.
Yeah.
And so like campaigns gave me that opportunity to like scratch that itch every day, because it was just like every day when you're in a political campaign, you're trying to figure out how do you get an advantage over your opponent. Every day you get and so like I fell in love with it and kind of been doing it since then.
You feel like politics in the direction you've gone has really pulled all your interests and like passions and loves into one place, like one channel?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like between like competitive, like that, like I just said, the competitive piece, but then also like community, which is something that's really big for me. And then I would just say like also like the fact that I was able to find someone who I love and like in love with and married since I've been in my professional life, and it's just like they may care, they may act like they care, but I feel like she's shown in ways that like it doesn't always have to be me pushing her to care. Like she cares about this in her own. Like she was doing this, like I said, before I was doing it, and so she cared a lot about her community. She cares about seeing the world progress and actually taking a step into like putting her hand into doing it, getting her hands dirty into actually doing that. And so for me, that was just a total difference as well.
Nice.
Do you guys feel like politicians actually care to help the people? Having you guys working on the back end. Yeah, feel free to dodge this question, because we had a lawyer on here. He dodged a couple of questions, but he admitted it was just like, after he was just like, I redirected it because I didn't want to answer. It was like valid. But it just always seems like
politicians know how to pivot too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And it always seems like, yo, you guys are arguing points that, like, they'll be wrong, and it's just like, why are you arguing? Just to be like, yo, I'm wrong on this point. Doesn't mean I'm wrong altogether in life, but it never seems like they'll just be like, yo, I'm wrong on this point, but I genuinely care. Sometimes it just seems like, yo, you don't care. You just want to win. Like
it's
an
a
argument.
Scoreboard, bro. They got to keep on that scoreboard.
Would you say like, no, they do genuinely care, or they're just like, I'm just here for the money? And it is what it is. Like, if that's what it is,
I think the first.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, I just want to say, I definitely don't think they're there for the money. Most politicians don't even like make that much. Like our state reps make under $60,000 a year. Yeah. So I will. When we're looking at local politics, there where a few of them are making like a lot over like 110, 120. A few of them, not that many. So I will say there are politicians who are lying and who don't care, but there are many who do. And it's also about like being savvy to work the political connections. You can be a community person, you could be a state leader, and it's all about what's more important, the connections in community or the connections with your colleagues within your office.
Yeah, I agree with what you were gonna say, and I feel like, well, I agree with what you said, and I feel like what I was gonna say kind of like piggybacks on it, because I feel like the more local you get in terms of a politician, the more they care.
Okay.
Yeah, like when you think about a city councilor versus like your senator, like your senator is a person who is the elected official for the entire. He represents the entire state. Versus like your city councilor may just represent 2 neighborhoods in Boston. And so just the like pure scale of like your responsibility, I think allows you to genuinely care about people more too, which was your question. Like, do you actually care about the people having an impact on people? Right. Because like those people can actually hold you accountable. Like those people are going to be like at the grocery store when you go to the grocery store. Like they're going to be at
your kids go to the same daycare as your kids.
Like they go to the same school as your kids, and so. But a senator or a congressperson, they spend 5 days out of the week in DC. Like we may not see them. We may see them once a month, if that. And so, I just think in terms of like the actual, like the level, it definitely matters. And I think also, I think that even at that point, there are some people who are on a higher level who tend to care more. Like I think that Congresswoman Presley, for an example, not just because she's a client, but because
you heard that,
but she's a friend as yes. well. And I've seen her like we like to say lead with her heart. And I think a lot of times like there are some controversial like takes in terms of like what plays well in DC that she decides to take because she understands like it's more important to her people back here in Boston or here in her district that she take these stances versus like playing politics. But I do think that to an extent, once you get to that level, you have to play politics.
You're not doing your job if you're not playing politics at all.
Yeah, you can't actually get the things done for the people that you want to if you're not also playing politics, which is like part of why politics sucks. Yeah. But it's like, even with bills, it's like stuff gets like, great things and bad things get passed in the same bill a lot of times because it's just like people are saying like, I'm gonna concede on this thing just
make
so
sure
that
this other
resource can come into my community.
They usually have each other by the hand. Like, I don't get this if you don't get this. Yep. And they have to agree.
My back.
Compromise.
Yeah. I also want to preference that, like, if you guys get mad at anything that they say, blame it on me. All right, I'm asking the questions. They're humans answering questions. Like, don't take it personal. Just blame me. Hey, I'm fine with it. They come at me in the comment section every now and then. I'm like, hey, it is what it is. Just don't attack the guest. All right, like they're human.
How he said blame him. I'm co-host.
So now that we said that disclaimer, what are you guys Democrat or Republican?
I'm rooting for everyone black.
Issa Rae.
That's a great answer.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Going back. No.
I agree with that.
You do not have to answer that question.
That's the answer. I'm rooting for people of color, not just black.
She was ready though. She took your question.
Going back to what you said earlier, because I've always wondered this with like people that grew up in environments of their community, and you could probably attest to this too because you're from Boston. It's a little bit different for us because Boston's majority like white Irish people, but you grew up in an area where it was like predominantly black people, and you guys actually have a mentality of like you can do everything on your own as opposed to like, oh, we have to wait for like these systems that white people have in place for us to do it. Can you speak on just like that whole mentality of just like doing it yourself?
That's a really loaded question because I think to an extent that, okay, so I'll answer, gosh, this is a really loaded question. I'm trying to figure out which way to go with it.
Hey, you can also answer too.
I'll give him a few seconds to think by saying your question is exactly why. I do want to move to the like, why wouldn't I want to raise my kids in that?
Yeah.
Like, there's not saying that we have some great education here, but I think that there is some other upsides to like that being raised in that full community environment of that.
I think there's good. I think there's good and bad in it. That's what I'll say. Is that to an extent, when you grow up, like you said, seeing so many people in these positions of power that it's like, to your point, it's like I can do it. Like at the end of the day, there was never like besides president until President Obama, it wasn't like there wasn't a role that I didn't see black people in growing up, and so it was just like realistically, I can. When people say I can do anything I want, like that's real. Like I didn't feel like I couldn't, and so like I feel like to an extent that piece is really important. But what I also will say is I've realized is as I've grown up is that part of the reason why I'm here is because I enjoy the community aspect of kind of we are coming together to almost fight this system. Whereas like in Maryland, everybody's like, oh, I can do it my way. I can do it this way. Like I want to start my organization. I'm gonna start this organization. I'm gonna start this one. And like everybody wants to be the leader. Everybody wants to be the person who's doing it versus like, no, you know what? I'll just show up and like I can make a sign on Saturday and like that'll be my role. And I feel like in Boston, there's more of a community aspect of like we're coming together versus like Maryland is almost like we're like crabs in the barrel where we have to like we all want to be the leader, and so now everybody's like jumping at the same opportunities and we're not actually like coming together to actually form anything. And I think here like one of the things that I would say like just in terms of political power like in Boston, I think Boston specifically, Black Boston, has a lot more political power than I would even say like Prince George's County, Maryland, which is I would say like probably more affluent than Black Boston, a larger kind of area that it covers, and it makes up more of the voting block. Now getting into politics a little bit, it makes up more of the voters in our state than Black Boston voters make up in the state of Massachusetts. But I would say like just in terms of power, like we don't necessarily have that political power. People know that they have to like come through PG County because they know that it's like it's a lot of black people, and so they're going to vote for Democrats. But it's not like, oh, like now that they voted for me, I'm not coming back for 4 years until it's election time again. Because we don't demand that, we don't call that. And I feel like the power here is it's a little bit more collective in terms of like actually being able to move things forward.
That's good. Word. No, that's a solid answer.
Loaded question.
Yo, so I mean, we can get into the main reason why you guys are here to talk about the Davis system. What is it?
Okay, so the Davis system is so I'll give you all our mission statement.
Okay.
It's a social impact firm serving at the intersection of community organizing and community philanthropy. So what that means is that a lot of our clients right now, they are offering either resources or service, and we kind of serve in the gap of helping them connect those resources, services to people. So people like a lot of times like organizations or companies like they don't necessarily have capacity. Like they may have a 3-person team, or they may have like they may have departments, but they don't have like a community engagement or a community outreach department. So like we add capacity through our business and allowing them to kind of connect with community. So we also come up with community engagement strategies. We help them think about like just their overall like branding and marketing strategy, but then we do project management, we do event management, and kind of just like add capacity to to businesses and organizations, primarily political organizations, but we're starting to kind of move into like more community-based organizations.
So you pretty much like strengthen like every organization that you work with. Like you're doing the ancillary stuff to get their name out there and to get more exposure. You're doing like the dirty work. You guys are doing the dirty work of like this heavy lifting of the stuff that they want to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we have the 2 of us are full time on the business. We have one other employee who works full time, and then we have 2 folks who are part time. And then we contract people out. So like some of the work that we do is like they ask us to be more so like in community on behalf of the client. So like a client is one of our clients, for instance, was Boston Children's Chorus. And so one of the things that we were doing for them was helping them recruit more students to join the choir, get more students signed up, excited to join the chorus. And so we did that through like, a very coordinated kind of community engagement strategy where we would have people out multiple days a week, both, flyering cars, but then also attending an event. And so a lot of that we kind of contract out other people to do that work. So one, like we can continue to kind of grow the business, continue to take care of the clients who are keeping us on a retainer, but then also so that we have opportunity to put money in other people's pockets.
For sure. That's dope.
That's one of the things that's really important to us, is just like continuing to employ Black and brown people specifically, but then just continuing to give other people opportunities, especially like those who need those like more flexible opportunities. Like a lot of our jobs are kind of like 2 to 3 hours, but you can kind of choose what hours in the day you want to do those jobs. And I think it works out a lot for the people that we're working with.
Yeah, for sure. That's really dope. It's like you guys are plugging two things together. You have like the top organization of the client of the team trying to come down to the community, right?
Yeah.
And the community going in the opposite direction. You guys are really that bridge. That's dope.
Exactly.
That's cool.
Can you explain to the people why, like, shoot, I don't know how to ask this question actually.
Another loaded question.
Yes, it is. It is. All right, fine. I'll try to break it down. Because like every other episode, right? I damn near try to tell everybody like, yo, loving celebs is cool. Like we like LeBron James, we like Jay-Z, whatever celeb it is, we like them. Cool. But they're not doing anything for us. They're not we don't have access to them. They're not employing us. But you are in the community, both of you guys, and you guys are actually employing Black and brown people. Mm-hmm. Can you speak to the importance of that? Yeah.
Yeah. So to me, you're not really a boss until you're signing someone else's check. And so to me, it really makes a big deal. Yeah. It really.
I've had a lot of managers that's like, I signed your checks. It's like, you don't though. This is crazy.
So to me, it really is a big deal. Like I remember the only our other full-time employee, after a few months of working for, she was able to buy like a new car, and I remember feeling like that was my car.
I was you.
I just bought a new car. Like, look at us.
Don't take it personal if you're watching this. It's all jokes.
We've made that joke quite a few times.
Okay, all right, cool.
She definitely does. She definitely knows we feel like that. But to me, that makes me feel good in doing those things and knowing that the fact that we can uplift someone, and by doing so, they're able to uplift their own family and their own community. Like that's the whole point. Like that is when we talk about how our dollars like recycle out of our. I think what was it? The Black dollar recycles out of the Black community at $3 or $5.
Like 3 times.
Yeah. It only goes in within the Black community 3 times rotation before it.
Between 3 different people, and then it's
out of the community. Whereas like the Jewish community was like 26 or something like that.
Holy
before
crap.
it like don't quote me on these statistics. I am wrong on them. I need to find
it. It's a staggering statistic between
is.
how long money stays in the Black community versus Jewish community.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it is broken down too between like Latino, is broken down between like Asian community, all of that too. But it is just staggering to see that. And I think for us, like we have to be more focused about being intentional where we spend our dollars, how we're putting our dollars in the community. Because like Anthony said, when his PG county was mostly Black, they didn't have the same word because it was their people governing them. And I think that's what we have to like get back to, that community trickle down economic, how we work that.
For sure.
I think, and just to add on to that, just the importance of hiring. One of the things that I really like take to that I hate, I'm gonna just say it. I take offense.
It's all good. I already told him, yo, come at me.
Come at you.
It's fine.
Is like someone or businesses that present themselves as Black owned or like women owned, but they don't employ people of color, or they don't employ women.
Yeah.
And so it's like, even if the owner is a person of color, if my main interaction as a client is with white people, then part of the reason why I came to you and why I hired you is because you are a Black owned business or you're a minority owned business. And I think a lot of times, like for me, like the reason why and we started the business was because we saw like in these rooms where, you know, people were giving political advice or people were advising on strategy, it was a bunch of old white men. And so like for us, it's like, okay, we have the knowledge. So how do we continue to like pass this down to other people who look like us as well? To make sure that these rooms continue to look more and more diverse. And also when we walk into a room that we're bringing, we're bringing the diversity into rooms. Like there's been rooms where we were sitting down with potential clients or having meetings, and it's like we're at a table full of white men or mostly white men, and then like our team is the diversity at the table.
Yeah.
But it's like, to us, I think it's important. Like I said, like because we are a Black-owned business, but then also like I think it's also, it gives me a little bit. I don't know if you feel the same way. It gives me like I feel like somebody has my back in the room as well. Like that's the importance of employing other people of color, because we move in such a space that's dominated by white people, white men. Like being able to walk into each of these spaces and say like I got my wife, yes, but then I also have a team of other people of color, and I know like we're never like, we may be outnumbered, but like I know that if anything goes down in this room, y'all got my back. If anybody tries to come for anything that I say, like y'all got my back. Yeah. And like there's a comfort in that, because I feel like a lot of my career I've had to move and didn't have that comfort. Like I've been in spaces and rooms where I was the only Black person, and I feel like now like that's never a concern anymore.
I love our team very much. Shout out to y'all, because honestly, when we walk into certain spaces, I definitely see like the atmosphere in the room change. This is like Anthony and I, a personal relationship thing that has like spilled over into our business.
Yeah.
But like we match, like we're not matching right now, but we usually like literally like 90% of the time, like we're usually matching or coordinated in some way. Like it was in our vows, like we will always be coordinated. Like it is a part of it. And so when we go out as a team, like all 6 of us will be fully like decked out, and we'll walk in and people be like, who are they?
That's dope.
Where they going?
Yeah.
Like it happens all the time, and like people will stop and stare and look at us, and I think that is, it just means so much to me. It's to powerful. Know that the weight, because they also look at us like we're barely like 18, because we all look so young. So they're like, who are y'all? Y'all look like kids. Y'all are in suits. Y'all are walking in as a unit. Like as Kevin Hart says, a color coordinated unit.
Intimidating the bigger guys in the meeting. You walk in, you're the bigger person all of a sudden. Y'all are one single. They're like, holy shit. Like, what are you wearing, bro?
Everybody got lapels. Everybody got business cards. They're like, where's that going?
Yep. Yeah, so this Anthony Davis, you guys, is far more important than the other Anthony Davis. Far more important. Could you guys talk about what it is like a day in the life for working at your job, as well as your employees, just to entice more people to want to?
Talking about a realistic day or my ideal day?
A realistic day for you guys, and then a realistic day for an employee that's working for you guys, so they could send in their applications and be like, yo, I want to work for the Davis system.
There's no openings right now.
They can do the wait list in tech. They have a send. Yeah, exactly.
We need that.
They do a lot of that in tech.
And we also have a lot of people who also come to us always looking for hiring. So we do take resumes.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we take resumes for other people, especially if you're interested in like campaign or like political jobs. We have like a bank of those all the time.
Nice.
It's great.
I'm trying to like really. No, you go. You answer the question. You're the CEO, so how honest you answer it. That's good.
Well, I would say like a typical day for the two of us is we are obviously married, so we're waking up, together. Sometimes we'll do breakfast, depending on the type of day it is. I would say the normal day is that we're working from home. Usually we are like at our desk by like 10ish in the morning. And we're there kind of like until 5. And a lot of our like days like on and off Zoom calls for the most part, like meetings, and then like kind of ancillary work in between those meetings. So like depending on the client, like in that week or like that day, like we may have some deadlines of things that we need to hit and get done. But for the most part, it's like I think one of the best things about like kind of being in this space and in like the consulting world is like you kind of have a like set number of deliverables for each of your client. And so like on a week-to-week basis, a month-to-month basis, year-to-year basis, you kind of know in advance everything that you need to get done. So for us, it's more so like keeping everything on track, making sure everything's running on a timeline. Yeah. We start every week with a meeting with the team, and then we close out every week with a meeting with the team. And then in between, then it's kind of just like we're asking folks, like we may do calls one off and here and there. They have to join meetings depending on which clients they're assigned to as an employee. You're not necessarily, your workload isn't what Errin and I's workload So
and it was different too because only one other person is full time, and then everyone else is part time. They have like 9 to 5 jobs during the day, so their really only capacity to us is like mixed in between.
A couple hours or so. Yeah.
Yeah. So you get kind of each employee gets a portfolio of clients that they're working with, and so depending on that client, how many meetings they have in a week, you have to join those, and then you're doing ancillary work in between. But I mean, Ton. Well, I'm gonna say her name now. We already said it. Ton, who is our one full-time employee. She jokes with us quite often that like we've ruined her being able to work a regular job, or going back to a job just because I think the comfort of being able to work from home every day, like there's
no way. It's more that we got her straight out of college. She graduated and
she
she's been
didn't get
working
the
for
chance
us.
to work
Anywhere
job.
else.
Okay, that's valid. Yeah.
But that comfort is, that can't, it's unbeatable. I think like
we just was on a shopping day
on a
yesterday.
on a weekly basis, maybe like once or twice a week, we're like physically like going somewhere, having to be somewhere. But that also depends on the time of the year. Like there are like periods of times where it's like more intense, so we're doing stuff more often. Like last week, we were pretty much out every day of the week. And
this week we're gonna be every day this week.
But like the summer, like August, basically all of August, like they were able to like vacation. Todd just came back from Spain for 2 weeks, and so it's like
it also felt like my trip. I was like, Tom in Spain for 2 weeks.
I haven't been to Spain. I haven't been to Europe.
Meanwhile, she's in Spain texting the staff group chat, responding back to me, and I'm like, "There's no HR here. Do not be responding while you are on vacation.
Don't make it seem like we making you work on vacation."
Mm-hmm.
Yo, how much y'all paying this girl? I mean, of course, don't tell him, but hey, yo, go send in your applications.
She's getting paid what Anthony and I both wished we got paid in our first jobs out of college. I'll say that.
That's exactly.
So she's a rare case because a lot of these videos of people complaining coming out of college, I ain't making nothing. This shit sucks. I can't do nothing. I just quit. Like, it's absurd.
Yeah.
Oh, but that's dope. That's dope.
Send in your applications.
She got classes.
We've already heard she got a car.
She got
and they left Europe.
She got a work phone. She got a work credit card. Tom be living it up. She could.
Damn. Sorry to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, just to your point, like she has classmates who pretty regularly are complaining, like telling her about like their jobs, and she's just.
What she
like,
say? She said
I can't relate. Like
in Spain, they were like, "How many days did you get off PTO?" She's like, "I don't know.
What's PTO?
What's PTO?" Yeah. I told them I was out.
Damn.
That's a beautiful thing though, because she's learning, and you guys are teaching her, maybe without her knowing, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But how to really kind of like work for herself. Like this is what it's like to run your own business, to build your own empire, is to just do shit.
It would be our goal for Tom to like. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. I was like, if our kids don't want this is Tom's business.
Absolutely. That's true.
That'd be scary, man. I feel like the kids always don't want the business. You're like, damn it. Why don't you
y'all
like
watch Succession?
Or they go into this big competition for which child is going to take over the business. So it's like, maybe we don't do any of that.
And Tom says she's our first child anyway. So like, it's her business.
What's some ancillary things that she has to do? Would you say?
I would say she attends a lot of events for us because like a lot of the times we're like in meetings with clients trying to keep the principal person of our client happy. So like some of our clients, Anthony was talking about the children's course. We were out like 3 days a week for that. Mm-hmm. And so like there are times when we can support or like come in, especially if it's like on a weekend related things. But like during the week, I would say like Ton is really like, out in community, really leading outreach efforts. Like she's like front facing for our business very much. She's like very much forward facing. Like people know her and like know she is of us even when we're not there. Yeah. So that's really important to us.
What's a pain point for y'all business? Would you say right now, like something that you guys just like, yo, this is really annoying, and if we figure this out, we could probably grow a lot faster.
That's the next step. Yeah.
Mm.
We probably both answer this different.
A pain point.
There could be several, but what's one that like itches the back of your head? It's like it's getting at you every single day you wake up. You're like, fuck.
Moment of transparency. So I'm a business major,
nice.
And though
couldn't tell.
I read the one class that I retook that I failed freshman year, first semester, was accounting. and I run accounting.
Oh, damn.
Well, I just want to say I retook it and got a B+. But
Yo,
I technically, do accounting for the Davis system now, and I would say a pain point for me is accounting
The numbers,
and the numbers. I'm like, I really wish that I was better at this point of it, so that it was less a joint effort between Anthony and I could just lead on it. That's a transparent point there. Because I know he would agree.
But not to pile on. I would say as CEO, I think it's always capacity. It's how do we make more hours in the day or offload more stuff so that we aren't working all night or the team doesn't feel they have to work extra, and also we don't have to turn down opportunities. Because I think our business is it's scaling at a in terms of people knowing about it, hearing about it, wanting us to wanting to do conversations with us. I think faster than we are ready to scale to that point. And so it's there's, I would say this year in comparison, last year, this is year 2. So last year we started the business, and I always joke if I had $1,000 for every contract that I sent in and that we didn't make money, that didn't even hear back about, or somebody declined, then I would have been able to pay my bills all of last year. But it was we had a few clients here and there last year, the first year. But a lot of it was us having to put ourselves out there, writing proposals, word of mouth recommendations. Whereas this year is just it's been every week, every quarter, every month. It's it's somebody new, something
reaching
new.
Out to us.
More so reaching out to us. We seen what you do on social media. We saw what you did with this client. We saw your impact here. Where it's we want to take all these opportunities, but realistically, I think one of the things that's really important for us that you don't necessarily always see is sometimes people will just take opportunities because it's money. They're just yo, oh, this person's coming at me, this person's coming at me, this I'm gonna take it all, and then I'll give each of them I'll half-ass each of these projects. Versus us, it's we don't take anything unless we know we're gonna be able to get it done 100% our job. The deliverables that we're gonna write down on that contract or on that proposal when we send it to you, we're gonna get those done. And if we don't feel we can do that, then we've turned down a lot of opportunities this year as a result of that. So I think for me, it's how do we scale to the point where we can start to be able to take more of those opportunities as well.
Okay. That's definitely just more people, which will come with time, and you guys know that's coming. Right?
Yeah.
When that happens, and you guys are turning down opportunities, which is a beautiful thing, by the way, because if people see that you're turning down opportunities to do the work right, to do it with quality, people will wait and pay for that.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised. But when you see that, do you guys ever feel you kind of recede a little bit, it's a little intimidating having all these influx of opportunities being thrown at you? And then how do you get your mind around it so you're kind of pushing through? You're saying no to this, saying yes to this, you're navigating properly.
Yeah, it gets overwhelming.
Yeah, and I think we both process it a little bit differently. Too. When I be doing girl math. When I be I'm we good. We always gonna be good. And Anthony's always stressed it. I'm what are you stressing about? It's gonna be fine. And he's literally always stressing about something. And so for me, I it. But again, because we're married, it comes with a level of just communicating. Attempting to communicate effectively always, and trying to walk through all right, this is how many clients we have now, this is how many clients is interested in us, how many of these is really going to turn out, do we have the base retainer to pay everybody this month? Those meetings get so serious.
Intense,
and so you try to do those meetings and then go to personal stuff, it all is just
it carries on.
And I think one of the other things that's been kind of beautiful about the being in a position to turn down things is we're able to still run our business, make sure our basic needs are kept, we're paying our staff. But then also I think one of the things we've done more this year is when we turn something down, we're recommending another Black-owned business, which is something that I feel a lot of times people forget to do. If they're coming to you, they're coming to you as a black-owned business, they probably want to work with a black-owned business or a minority-owned business. And so it's like, how can you refer someone else? And I feel like multiple times this year we've been able to do that where they've actually went with the business.
Unbeknownst to some businesses who just like here.
Yeah. Which is, again, like the importance of keeping the money in the community as well.
Nice.
What's something you guys are working on that is exciting? So like for the future, to get more people interested in your company? Because you know how like people from college, kids more so, they're just like, yo, we want the exciting business. We want the cool business. And it's like, oh, that business sounds boring. I don't want to work there. But it's like, yeah, I mean, you need a job though. So you should apply anyway, right?
Well, first shout out to Miles Made. He's our in-house videographer and photographer.
Nice.
And I think with him, in order to like get that eye-catching thing, we're starting vlogging. We have like 4 episodes out right now with a few more coming. So I think vlogging and doing
on YouTube.
Yeah.
Hit that subscribe button.
Yeah. What's the name of the channel?
The Davis System.
Yep.
Let's go.
So trying to get the vlog out there more, and then Anthony has been doing a lot of writing, getting more op-eds and just more like those type of like more in-depth analysis, research posting. I should be doing a few more like Instagram lives with some special guests, maybe like good things popping up 2024. We'll see. We'll see how they feel.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say the writing piece was the one thing that I was really excited about. And I feel like being able to talk more about like both like past experience, but then also like tying that to what we're doing now is really good. And then I think like just continuing to do what we're doing right now it's been good just because we get to work with I think one of the things that's so appealing about the work that we do is that we get to work with so many different clients. We were talking about this before we got started, but just in 2 years, like we've worked with over 20 clients, 20 different between like organizations, political campaigns, businesses, nonprofits, for-profit, C3 organizations, C4 organizations. And so we've worked with this kind of wide spread of clients. And so I feel like one of the things that the folks who work with us that they do enjoy is like, every day is not the same. Like every day you're getting to like an opportunity to work on something new, or like this day may be really busy with this client, but then tomorrow it's not going to be like, if you knock out everything in this day, then maybe the rest of this week, you may not even have to worry about this client versus like, this other client now is going to take some more of your time. But it's like, I think that opportunity to kind of refresh every day and like know that like, we're not going to come in and do the same thing is kind of very refreshing and gives people, it's a really, I think, attractive part of the job. Like I know that's something that I really enjoy about it, because I think one of the things that made me want to start the business was the fact that like I worked on campaigns for a long time, and each campaign, like you're spending 15 hours a day in the campaign office or out in the field doing stuff. And it's like, what could if I'm willing to work 17 to 15 hours, how many different things could I be doing?
Can I get
like,
done?
You know what I'm saying? And so like for me, it's like now I don't work 17 hours as much as I can avoid it. But like
we had the days though.
Even in 10 or like 12, it's like we can get a lot done. And so like I think that's the part that I've enjoyed the most about it too. It's like each day is something new. And it's like I get to kind of, to your point earlier, like create my days. I get to decide what I want to do and what's the priority every day. Sometimes that's a little bit nerve-wracking, but
for sure,
but that's good. That's a good part about it.
I also just want to add, I think that like for the most part, we haven't really taken any contract without talking to our team about it too. And I think they're also in a part of our process. Like when we're doing, not all the time, but sometimes when we're doing those like laying out what clients we have now, what's coming next, what's your capacity, they're with that. That's all of us coming together and like actually sitting there talking it out. Like, do we have a capacity as a whole team to take on this next client? That would mean you and you would need to be a part of this. And like, what's your next month looking like? And that is a joint team effort when we take into consideration like what clients we take and what we don't take. And that's another reason why Talon is ruined, because she won't have that probably.
Most bosses ain't asking your opinion anymore.
What's a C3, C4 client? I don't know if that's important information. You should know. I definitely don't know what it is.
Yeah, so nonprofit organizations, they have designations. So like C3 is like a not-for-profit, and C4 organizations usually are like political like entities. So like a nonprofit, like you have to be a C3, you have to be like nonpartisan. So you can't say like vote for the Democrats or vote for the Republicans or like vote for Joe Biden or vote for Donald Trump. When you work at a C3, a C4, you can essentially do that. So there are a lot of organizations that kind of have both entities. So like the NAACP, for instance, their big organization is actually a C3 organization. So they can't, like, if you notice, like in the NAACP, like they'll promote voting and they'll promote like registering to vote and the importance of the election and like these issues that matter, but they can never say like vote for this candidate.
Right.
But they do have a kind of smaller entity that is a C4 that can do that type of work.
Okay.
Yeah.
And tax deductions is the difference. A C3, you can get a tax write-off.
Right.
C4, you can't. Like if you donate to their organization.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Are you guys operating everywhere, all 50 states, even outside America, or only in America, only in certain cities?
God willing, we'll be everywhere.
Yeah.
That's the vision. Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you know, we've worked with clients that have allowed us, not everybody based. We've had one client that's not based in Boston, that has allowed us to kind of travel with that client. That was the NAACP, actually, the national NAACP. So with them, we did this program, a fellowship program, where we went to Jackson, Mississippi, Washington, D.C., and then we did a weekend here in Boston as well. So that allowed us to travel around a little bit. And I think right now we're like in that phase where we're good here in Massachusetts. We're good here in Boston in terms of like notoriety. Not good, like we're complacent, but like we're in a good place where things are continuing to grow. But then it's like now, like what can we do to like expand our reach and expand our network?
Right.
So like I know one of the big things for us is like being really present when there's like big wigs who may be coming through Boston. Like we've been going to more fundraisers, going to like more events that are like hosted by people who aren't from here, but are like coming through to like raise money or something like that. Just to like make sure we're giving business cards, not to like the most important person in the room, but like who's the person who organized the event, who's the person who walked in and is taking pictures of the person. Like those are the people that we're making sure that we're connecting with and giving them the card, so that like when they go back to their state, they may send us an email, they may connect with us, and so we get an opportunity kind of.
Or next time they're in Boston, they're like, I remember this young black couple that they was doing this organizing work. I'm gonna hit them up and like, you know, also.
And you're going after the people that matter. These are the behind the scenes people that kind of do what you're doing.
Yeah.
So they get it. You know, you're not talking to like the top person who's like, oh, I'll put you to somebody. Like, I don't really know.
Exactly. And they're the ones who actually, to your point, they're the ones who are going to make the decisions. They're the ones who are going to say like, oh, we can give you all this contract because I control the budget. Like that person doesn't control the budget. I control it.
Most of the time, the principal person don't even know what's happening with the money.
Yeah. True that.
That's funny. That goes back to your point. Like the higher you go, the less you kind of see the smaller like communities. Like you're not really seeing all that or paying attention to it. You know.
Yeah. How often is those people black when you're reaching out? Because if they're the ones who's actually pulling the strings on the people, the face of everything, I'm assuming it's majority white, because a lot of times I don't see black people like getting those opportunities, getting stuff done. It typically seems like it's just like a white person.
I feel like, you know, we're in the post George Floyd era. Everybody wants a little diversity on their team, so like you always could find probably some piece of color somewhere on an elected official staff, for sure. But I think ultimately too, like when you're in these spaces and you're like a behind the scenes staffer person, there's a level of respect that you just have amongst each other, even when you're like, no matter what your racial line is, because you know the work that it takes to like even just be the staffer and be the person behind the person. And so I feel like we move through spaces fine. Like, you know, like we talk with everyone, you know, are able, the space can be as, because we're in a lot of spaces that is with, you know, majority people of color populated, where the room is created for us to be a safe space. And there's a lot of the rooms that we create, so all the rooms that we're in, like safe spaces for people of color. But also there's in these rooms, because it is predominantly just white, like, you know, they move around, but in certain times they're more like, who are these people? They want to know who we are, because again, we're moving color like a color coordinated unit.
Yeah.
That's just got to be on the sweater.
I would just add, like, I think yes, but I think a lot of the times, to your point, like the people who are the ones who are either making the decisions or the ones who are cutting the checks are usually white people. In terms of like who can actually employ us, especially when I think about like our contracts that are higher in terms of total, in terms of how much money we're making, like those are most of the times the money is controlled by a white person.
Mm-hmm.
The person who's maybe making the decision to bring us on is a white person, and I think like that's something that I think as a society that we're trying to change. But I think for us it's like the impact is probably the most important part, and not necessarily like who is paying us or like where we're getting the money from. But it's
Right.
like it does matter. I think it does matter, but it's something that like as long as their heart and their mission is in the right place, like we can work with them.
You guys predominantly work with politicians, right? Like your clients?
No, we have like the organizations really, so it's like not necessarily like always politicians. Like we've had politicians in our current and past like client history, but not only because like we have the fellowship program, and it is politically like affiliated, but it is not like behind any one politician.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Outside of Tanaya, what would be the ideal like skill set of an employee?
Oh, Ton.
Ton?
Like, who the hell is
Oh, my
Tanaya?
bad.
You
Ton.
looked over. I was like, wait, what? I looked at him like, who's Tanaya?
I apologize. Besides Ton, though, skill sets for an employee coming to work for you guys, what would you say you would recommend them have? So pretty much like a resume.
I would say already pre-established authentic relationship with community. Before, like, I was COO, like, I was just Errin on the block, like, chilling, asking people what's going on, how can I help them, like, just being here. And that's a part of, like, what people pay us for is, like, the authentic communications that we've had and have existed in our lives that we lean on, because a lot of the people are now in positions of power throughout our city and our state. And so I would look for somebody who already had a very, like, conversational friendship, had already these authentic community relationships, and has like shown a real investment into our livelihood here.
Just be real, not that you're spewing bullshit. Like you've been there, you get it, you've been paying attention, you know what's
like
going
if
on.
I haven't seen you at a community event, you probably shouldn't apply to work for the David system. Like that's just where I'm at.
And I would just say like just one, I think like someone who's very organized, and then kind of going with that is someone who's able to work independent, because as we've been talking about, like you don't have to come into an office every day. You kind of get assigned tasks throughout the week, and it's like we're not on top of people. Like we're not calling Ton multiple times a day to say like, okay, what's the update on this task? It's like we expect it to get done by the time that we say it's going to get done. And
they're responsible. They're going to
and
do it. They're going to do it.
And she's already exhibited that. The rest of our team, in addition to Ton, they also have exhibited that. So when we bring in new people, I think that's one of the things that's like really important, is just that consistency that, we don't have to, chase behind you, because again, just adds more, that's adding more work for us. And if I'm adding somebody to the team, it's ideally taking work from us versus adding on more.
Yeah.
Got two things I want to add. One, you have executive assistant experience, though. That one I am looking for. We need help.
Okay.
And the second piece I would say is, if you're a male organizer, I think we all start looking for you, because at this point, Anthony works with all females, and he might be tired of us. Like we are dramatic. We got a lot of energy, a lot of attitude. When the whole team is hungry, oh man, like it's pretty bad for him. And so I think that he might need like a male on the YouTube. But we need a whole. Might need a man on the team too to help balance things out a little bit.
That's true. If you are a male, you're community organizer. You care about community organizing, might got a job for you.
Y'all hear it, bro. Male community organizers or female executive assistants, you said?
Why'd you put a gender on the executive assistant?
If you qualified, apply for that position, okay?
Yeah, we are a non-discriminatory organization. We just know what we want.
That's true. That's the best part of owning your own business.
That's it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Gotta ask, right? So we like to clip it up in shorts, like the video, right? So for the shorts, just so when people are watching it, explain to them what the Davis system is. You could do it individually, and then we could just do multiple shorts, so we can just keep posting it. Like, yo, this is what the Davis system is.
I'll say this.
What is the Davis system?
The Davis system is a social start over.
What is the Davis
I
system?
just take two
Hold
on
on,
your
yeah.
own show. On your own show.
Yeah,
Oh, we are live.
Yeah, we are live.
I forgot about that. Oh,
Yeah, don't even.
that was hilarious. Well,
What is the Davis system?
The Davis system is a social impact firm that works at the intersection of community organizing and community philanthropy. That's our spiel.
Yep.
You want to do it too?
Yep.
What is the Davis system?
The Davis system is a social impact firm that helps our clients with project management, event management, and overall capacity building.
Okay. Word. Sounds solid. Anthony Davis,
Different answers.
can you just look into the camera and say this is the best podcast you've ever been on?
This is by far the best podcast I've ever been on.
Well, you guys heard it. Anthony Davis said this is the best podcast ever. So tune in every week, you guys. Anthony Davis Jr.
Is that gonna be your caption thumbnail? You clickbaiting that.
Should have won the Lakers. Shit.
I mean, you can also say like, this is, I don't know. What else do we need Anthony Davis to say?
It's the realest podcast ever. Shit was fun.
Yeah,
Cool.
Shit was
word.
fun. Shit was fun.
Appreciate it. I do got a super important question to ask you guys. Would you take the dinner with Jay-Z or $500,000?
He told me not to take it.
Yeah, he did.
Say what he said. What I'm gonna tell you. I respect that, Jay.
He already
Damn,
put it in
he
the
did
album.
answer.
All I
Yeah.
gotta do is get the album.
He did. Damn. I see. Now we gotta get different questions.
Is
That was it.
Is there anyone that I would do dinner with over taking the $500,000? That's really the question.
You already know your answer. Did you just ask it knowing your own
Yeah.
answer?
Would you?
He
What
gonna
person?
do Kobe Bryant, and that's really his thing. That's why.
Oh,
Why
for
did
real?
you just do that and just? Because he knows his own answer.
Why Kobe?
Nah, Kobe's not worth $500,000.
500 million?
He's really motivational guy, but that $500,000 is more motivation.
That could set you up for the next 2
At
years.
this point, I know how to flip 500,000, so I
Yes.
want the money every time.
Yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
Yeah, let me take the money.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Even like Warren Buffett, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos.
Some white people don't like me.
I was gonna say, you
Alright,
mentioned
that's-
people we have
that's
no.
valid.
I would say Barack Obama
That could be a cool one.
and
Actually.
Oh, yeah, and
that could be a
and
cool one.
Oprah.
Damn, getting Oprah behind cameras would be interesting. Like talking, because I feel like I've seen only Oprah in front of a
In front
camera.
of the camera.
Always. I don't
It's
know
always
who
in
she
front.
is.
Yeah, it's
Like,
in front. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
she
true.
could be evil as fuck. We don't know.
That is true.
And she got a bag, so she got some tips.
She
She
got
got something to give you. Like she got some wisdom to give.
Yeah.
Definitely
But I feel like
good stuff for sure.
Oprah, the Oprah behind the scenes is probably gonna say exactly what JC said. Like, what
Same
am I
thing.
gonna tell you?
Yeah, it's like there's not much more I could say, man.
Yeah.
If you didn't
Like,
pick
did
it up
you read
by
one
now.
of my books? Like,
Yeah.
That might be true.
I feel like that's also a pitch so they could like sell more of their product. It's like, I already told you all the information, just buy my product. It's like, God damn, bro.
I'm not gonna make $500,000 if I go listen to Jay-Z's albums right now, but sure,
Yeah, exactly.
which is again the point of take the money.
take the money.
Make the money.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, all right, so let's see if this works on anybody. I say the same joke every week and nobody gets it. It's gonna work. It's gonna work, you guys.
I love corny jokes, so I'm here for it.
Don't fake laugh either. Hold on. Okay, so
Okay.
no,
No, I
don't
really
even
like
start.
corny
Okay,
jokes, so
okay.
I probably will just
All right,
laugh.
cool.
I said it on the monologue and everything. All
Let's
right.
go.
Wow. My girl asked me to go to PR, so I sent her my pull request.
Your what request?
Damn it!
I was like, did you hear?
Your execution was a fail.
Yeah. So like in tech, like coding pull request is like how we share our code across, and it's like, yo, my girl wants to go to PR Puerto Rico, so I sent her my PR, my pull request. All right. Well,
You know we're in
You
politics.
need coders for
Yeah.
this shit.
Yeah, I mean,
That's a coder joke. Yeah.
that one wasn't it.
all right. I'll workshop it.
But I did just tell him if there's gonna be anything, I was like, we gotta put our kids in coding. Coding is gonna be the future. I'm ready for that. So
It's
my
building
future
for
kids
it.
is gonna think that's
At the
hilarious.
future,
I'm
it's-
taking that.
Yeah, run it back. You're like, yo, I was on a tech podcast. Absolutely. Yeah, that's the new wave. But yeah, we have Anthony Davis and Errin Davis here. Any closing remarks you guys want to say?
Thank you for having us. We really
Thank
appreciate
y'all for
it.
coming, man. Y'all are dope.
Yeah.
What y'all working on is amazing. Just keep pushing, keep driving. Y'all got this.
Thank you.
I would
Yeah.
agree. This is dope. I appreciate y'all having us. We're gonna be tuned in moving forward. So
Oh, appreciate
it. To being
Appreciate it.
a
I'm gonna check.
subscriber, you know.
No, I appreciate it, man. I'm gonna check out like y'all projects next time you guys are doing something. I'm gonna check you guys out. Follow you guys on socials now.
Oh, and I don't think we said this at all. Well, we did, but we are celebrating 2 years of the business on
Let's go.
December 1st of this year. That sounds like a clap track. But you know, I think one of the things I wanted to say is just like Black businesses have been. There's like a statistic that says like within the first 3 years, a lot of Black businesses fail.
Yeah.
So that's really been it's a big benchmark for us to get
Mhm.
to next year where we will be celebrating 3 years. But this year, you know, we're celebrating December 1st. So just like continue to follow us, subscribe to our YouTube channel because there's going to be a lot more content coming out.
Let's
We would
go.
love to have
Nice.
y'all there.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Oh, yeah,
Thank
make
you.
sure y'all get the invitation before we leave, too.
Yep, yep.
Hey, nice.
Because if you, I thought you was about to say it on here, and I'm about to say
No,
raise
I was
my
not
budget
gonna
right
say- I
now.
was not
If
gonna
you,
say
The stress.
I'm the one who stresses about the money. I know that. Not going to disclose anything. Gotcha.
No promises, okay? No promises towards the end. But all right, that's Create and Execute episode 19. Thank you guys for tuning in. Peace.
Take care, y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.